Welcome to episode number 248, where I'm discussing Ayurveda's view on headaches and migraines. Did you know that there are 11 types of headaches mentioned in Ashtanga Hridayam? I'm going to take you through each of them. I'm going to give you some info on how to determine which doshas are causing the headache or migraine, and some tips on how to alleviate the discomfort. So please stay tuned. Welcome to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. I'm your host, Colette, and I hope to educate and empower you to take charge of your health and well-being, preventing disease in the body and mind so that you can thrive in life. I will be sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, which is the ancient healing tradition from India. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend listening to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. And if you like the content, please be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast so the new episodes will automatically download for you. Also, you may want to check out my private Elements community, which is away from social media. It's a safe space for like-minded people to come together, to connect, to share, to support each other, and to continue the conversation from the podcast episodes. Check out the link in the show notes or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and just click on the community tab. And I hope to connect with you there. Thanks for listening. And now here's a new episode. This episode is sponsored by Kerala Ayurveda. If you're an Ayurvedic professional and want to improve your skills supporting clients with migraines and other imbalances, check out Kerala Ayurveda's continuing ed programs. Topics include case discussions, formulation making, assessment and pulse diagnosis, Vedic formulations, and more. Study in person and via live streaming, and students from all schools are welcome. To learn more and save 10% on an upcoming program, visit keralaayurveda.us/courses and use the code ELEMENTS, and you'll find all that info in the show notes also. Hello, and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. You have me, Colette, today for a solo episode talking about headaches and migraines, and in particular, of course, Ayurveda's view on them. Now, headaches, sometimes we know exactly what has triggered it, and sometimes it's an absolute mystery. And if you get a headache once in a while and you can determine the triggering factor, then it's not too much of a concern. However, if the pain is reoccurring or severe, it's a sign from your body that it's not happy, physically or mentally, and therefore it's important to determine the imbalance in order to alleviate the reoccurring problem. I talk to many clients with headaches and migraines, and when they're consistent, we need to look at the root cause of these problems. We don't want to just be taking something over the counter to alleviate the pain. We need to see why it's happening. Now, in Ayurveda, there are 11 types of headaches mentioned in Ashtanga Hridayam. Imagine 11 types. They really narrow it down. So I'm going to go through these now. The first one is Vataja, which is caused by aggravated Vata. And a sign that you know it's a Vata headache is that you feel better when you eat or you sleep. Then the second type of headache is Pittaja. And again, this is due to a Pitta aggravation. This is where you can feel hot and have a burning sensation with the headache, and where you're in a cooling environment or eating cooling foods or drinks have a cooling quality helps. Kaphaja is caused by aggravation of kapha, and this type of headache is usually comes with congestion and it can result in a sinus headache. Then you have Sanipataja, which is a mix of all the three doshic symptoms. There's Raktaja, which is caused by an aggravation of the blood. It's similar to Pittaja, but more severe expressions. And this can be due to Pitta aggravating foods and conditions. Then you have Kashayaja, which is caused by depletion due to head injury, where there's blood and fat loss in the head. So this is obviously due to maybe an operation or some injury, and kapha and vata are depleted. Then this one is unusual and a little gross, but it's called Krimija. And it's caused by small organisms like germs and worms. And this can be caused due to eating incompatible, undercooked, impure, or putrid food. Of course, that's very rare and the stuff of nightmares. But yes, it is listed in Ashtanga Hridayam. The 8th type of headache is Surya Varta, and this pain starts in the morning with sunrise. It peaks at midday and reduces by sunset. And it often happens when we're hungry, and cold or heat doesn't help this type of headache. Then you have Anantavata, which is considered severe and reoccurring and may cause nausea. And this type of headache can be correlated with a migraine. The 10th kind of headache is Ayurvedic, and excuse my Sanskrit pronunciations, but this pain usually occurs on one side of the temple and forehead. And finally, then there's Shankaika, and this is a temple headache. It's a combo of Vata, Pitta, and Rakta symptoms. And like I said, it can occur around the temples. So what causes headaches? Why do people get headaches? What causes them? Of course, there's a huge amount of reasons and it varies from person to person. But in general, they can be caused by stress, exposure to toxins or toxin buildup in the body, sudden changes in climate, loud sounds or even sensory overload, too much excitement, too much screen time, improper sleep, and that could be too much sleep, too little sleep, or interrupted sleep, ignoring natural urges, hormonal changes in the body, dosha aggravations due to diet, lifestyle, a lack of food, and eating a lot of highly processed foods, caffeine, fermented foods, oily and spicy foods. Now, headaches are not considered to be a disease in Ayurveda, but they are a symptom of aggravation of a dosha or doshas. Vata aggravation is the main cause of headaches. However, headaches can include one or more of the other doshas of Pitta and Kapha, and these doshas can block Vata, which then can cause pain. So the first line of treatment with a headache is to determine the vitiated dosha or doshas. So, for example, vitiated Vata can result in pain in the back of the head, and the pain may migrate, throb, or pulsate from the back of the head to the front of the head. There may also be tension or stiffness in the neck, the shoulders, and the jaw. Now, Vata-type headaches can be caused by a Vata-aggravating diet of dry, light, cold, raw foods. A busy, stressful lifestyle filled with insecurity, fear, and worry can aggravate Vata. And a dry, windy climate can result in dehydration, which can cause headaches. And the typical Vata imbalance of constipation can also result in headaches. Aggravated Pitta can result in pain in the temple area to the center of the head and can be felt behind the eyes. Pitta headaches have sharp, shooting, burning, and penetrating pain, and Pitta-type headaches can result from a Pitta-provoking diet, lifestyle, and climate, like spicy, pungent, oily foods, intense schedules, competitive activities, and a hot climate will all provoke Pitta. Aggravated Kapha is most likely to result in a dull type of pain and can result in pain or pressure in the sinus area due to congestion. Blocked nose and pressure when you bend forward is a typical sign of a sinus headache. Kapha-type headaches can be caused by a kapha-provoking diet of cold, heavy, stodgy comfort foods, a sedentary lifestyle, and a cold and moist climate. Now, once you determine which dosha or doshas are vitiated, then you can bring in the opposite qualities to pacify that dosha. So I'm going to give you some simple tips here to pacify each dosha. And of course, these may be useful for a Vata-ja, Pitta-ja, or Kapha-ja headache, in that a headache where just one dosha is imbalanced. If one or more doshas are imbalanced, then it's time to get professional help, especially if these headaches are reoccurring. So for Vata pacification, a simple tip to relieve pain is to make a paste of a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg powder and a little water, and just make that paste and apply it to the forehead for about 30 minutes and then remove it. That can bring great relief for a Vata type or Vata jaw headache. Making sure the diet is a Vata pacifying with lots of liquids to avoid dehydration, and a diet of regular warm meals with good fats and digestive spices. Vata pacifying self-care practices like Nasio oil in the nose at night to prevent dryness, Abhyanga oil massage to calm the body and lubricate the tissues, and calming the body and mind with practices like restorative or yin yoga, doing pranayama like Nadi Shodhana or the alternate nostril breathing, and with meditation. Making time for some mindfulness practices and yoga is really important to ground, calm, and pacify Vata. So there's some simple tips again for a Vata type headache, and they will bring some relief. But again, if it's reoccurring, then it's time to see a professional. Now for Pitta pacifying headache, if it's a Pitta jaw headache, a coriander seed infusion is really wonderful. Just steep 1 part of coriander seeds to 3 parts of water overnight. No need to refrigerate. You can just leave it covered on the counter, and then strain and drink it at room temperature the next day. Really great for pacifying Pitta. Another drink that's great is aloe vera juice and coconut water. They're both calming for Pitta, so maybe taking a glass of half of aloe vera juice, which is very bitter on its own, so mix it with the sweetness of half of the coconut water, and that can really relieve and pacify Pitta. Making a sandalwood paste is really great to calm a Pitta headache. And this is where you take a half a teaspoon of sandalwood powder with a little bit of water to form a paste, apply it to the forehead for 30 minutes, and it's very cooling. Or you could even diffuse some sandalwood essential oil into the atmosphere. That would also be great. Now, if you don't have sandalwood powder or oil, you could take some rose water and soak a washcloth in some rose water and apply it to your forehead and eyes, because the eyes can be affected in a Pitta jaw headache. And cooling the washcloth beforehand in the refrigerator can be really nice as well. Now, bringing in, of course, cooling lifestyle practices like time to relax away from the intensity that Pitta gravitates towards, and calming yoga practices. A calming, cooling breath like Shatali cooling breath is really great. That's the one where you roll your tongue and breathe in across your tongue, or you can imagine you have a straw in your mouth and breathing in through a straw. And meditation, of course, will help to calm Pitta. A Pitta pacifying diet of foods with cooling quality. So this is not cold foods, but foods that have a unique cooling quality like bitter leafy greens, asparagus, watermelon, cilantro, mint, coconut water. All these can be really beneficial and help to cool the Pitta heat. And of course, avoiding the Pitta aggravating foods and drinks like caffeine, alcohol, spicy, salty, fried foods, nightshades, and sour foods. And just a reminder, those nightshades are tomatoes, peppers, white potatoes, and eggplant or aubergine. And finally, some kapha pacification tips for a dull kapha jaw-like headache. Making a warming paste with half a teaspoon of ginger powder and water and apply to the forehead for 30 minutes. If you feel a lot of pressure around your sinuses, then it's usually a good indicator that it's a sinus headache. And in this case, I recommend doing some nasal irrigation with a neti pot, and then make a paste with half a teaspoon of cinnamon and water and apply it to the bridge of your nose and the cheekbones. And let this sit for 30 minutes and wash it off. Another tip to relieve a kapha type headache is adding eucalyptus oil to an oil diffuser, or even fill up your sink or a bowl with hot water and add about 7 drops of eucalyptus oil in there. Cover your head and the bowl with a towel and inhale the eucalyptus steam. Eucalyptus oil is an anti-inflammatory and decongestant, and so very clearing for a kapha jaw style headache that usually causes a lot of congestion in the sinuses. A kapha pacifying diet of warm, light foods with digestive spices, and avoiding the heavy, creamy comfort foods that are cold, raw, and oily. And do some gentle movement as well, like yoga. Of course, avoiding inversions, because that will really bother the sinuses, but maybe just walking in nature to get the blood and the lymph moving and preventing that stagnation will also help. Of course, along with some energizing yoga, breathing, like Bhastrika, the bellows breath, if that feels okay for you. So there are some simple tips to help headaches that have a single dosha imbalance, like I said, Vataja, Pittaja, and Kaphaja. However, some headaches can involve 2 or more doshas, like that of Sanipataja headache and Anantavata headache or migraine, which include all 3 doshas, which are defined by severe pain and often accompanied by nausea. These headaches are reoccurring, but the frequency varies from person to person. Vata is usually responsible for causing this type of headache, but Pitta and Kapha aggravations can block Vata too and create a migraine. Now here are some typical symptoms of each dosha in a migraine type or Anantavata headache. Vata will have acute pain. There'll be a lot of dryness and probably accompanied by constipation. Pitta aggravation will result in a redness of the eyes, irritability, hypersensitivity to light, and a possible nosebleed along with that as well. And Kapha type migraine will be a throbbing, dull pain accompanied with fatigue and possible depression as well. Now, there can be phases to an Anantavata headache, and 4 phases in general. There's the prodromal phase. This can occur a few hours or days before the severe pain and can result in altered mood, frequent urination, and feeling down. Then there's the aura phase of blurred vision, pins and needles in the head, and hypersensitivity to touch. The 3rd phase is the pain phase, and pain can start on one side and result in nausea, vomiting, and mood swings. And then there is the postdromal phase, which is extreme fatigue and a lack of concentration. Now, for treatment of Anantavata headache, the doshic aggravation must be determined. However, like I said, Vata is usually involved, and so implementing a Vata-pacifying diet and lifestyle modifications is necessary. And in fact, the severity of this type of headache will ensure a Vata-pacifying lifestyle because you will literally want to lock yourself away in a quiet, dark room. Now, the same pace can be used on the forehead that I mentioned earlier for each dosha, and nausea or drops in the nose are really great for this type of headache. So, for example, if there's a Vata aggravation, a nausea of a salt solution of 1 teaspoon of warm water with at least 1/4 teaspoon of salt to make a concentrated solution, and then using 2 drops every 5 minutes in each nostril until the pain stops can be really effective. If there's a Pitta aggravation, a nausea or nasal drops of fresh coriander or cilantro leaf juice or ghee, melted ghee every 5 minutes until the pain stops also can be great. And with a Kapha aggravation, we don't use oil nausea for Kapha as it's usually accompanied by congestion. However, you can use the salt solution I mentioned for Vata or use a neti pot to help in unclogging the sinuses and relieving the headache as well. Now, these remedies and tips are helpful to relieve the pain and pacify the doshas. However, if you're having reoccurring headaches or headaches that last for several days, then you should consult with a professional, as Ayurveda has amazing herbs, oils, and formulations to help relieve headaches and migraines and getting to the root of the problem so that they don't reoccur, which is the real magic, right? We don't want to just alleviate the pain. We want to make sure they never come back. And of course, if we can prevent the doshic imbalance that manifests in a headache or migraine, that would be the best. So this means really understanding your mind-body type and being very aware of the subtle imbalances in your own body so that you can make adjustments to your diet or lifestyle in the early days when you're feeling those subtle imbalances to help pacify the aggravations in your body so that the headache or migraine never manifests. Now, if you're interested in learning more about your unique constitution and understanding your unique signs of imbalance, then check out my online consultations. And this is where we chat for 90 minutes. I educate you on your constitution, your mind-body type. Also, if you have a current Vikriti or imbalance, but really educating you on the subtle signs of imbalance in your body and what to do when you feel that, so it doesn't manifest into a problem, a disease. You really are becoming your own healer with this information. And of course, Ayurveda recommends regular Ayurvedic cleansing because this is really important to eliminate the accumulated toxins and doshas which can accumulate at the end of their respective season. So kapha is going to accumulate at the end of spring, pitta is going to accumulate at the end of a hot summer, and vata is going to accumulate at the end of a cold, dry, windy winter. The accumulation of doshas at these times makes for ideal conditions for the manifestation of imbalances and headaches and migraines and other imbalances in the body as well. And this is why Ayurveda recommends cleansing at the end of each season, particularly at the junction between summer and autumn, and then at the junction between spring and summer, to help eliminate the accumulated toxins and the accumulated doshas, so you can enter the new season without carrying this heavy toxic load, which can cause problems in the coming season. So, for example, at the end of summer, there's a natural accumulation of heat in the body, and if this heat is not removed via cleansing, it can cause pitta aggravations. It can cause headaches or migraines, skin problems, acid reflux, heartburn, hot flashes. And not only does it aggravate pitta, it can also dry out vata as we move into the vata season of early autumn. And therefore, this trapped heat in the body is going to dry out and aggravate vata and result in vata imbalances too. So it's very important to do regular cleansing of our body. We need to take care of the one body we have. We need to keep it happy. And in doing that, we need to make sure we take a short period of time to eliminate any accumulated toxins or accumulated doshas. So I want to let you know I have my Digestive Reset Cleanse. It's a group cleanse starting September 2nd. And with this group cleanse, you get a 90-minute one-to-one online consultation with me. We'll go into Zoom. We'll chat for about 60 minutes. And then I tailor the cleanse to you. I tailor the recipes, the yoga, the breath practices, the meditation, your self-care practices, what time of day you do them. We fit them into your lifestyle. We make sure you're not going to be overwhelmed. And then we go through the cleanse as a group. And I have a private forum on my cleanse webpage. And we communicate there, we share experiences, we support each other, we hold each other accountable. If you want to know more about this Digestive Reset Cleanse, I go into detail on it in episode number 244. And if you can, come join the group cleanse. It's a great way to go through a cleansing process. It's a nurturing cleanse. You're not fasting. And it's lovely to have the group. There's people from all around the world that join. And it's nice to know that you're not alone. Now, if the date of September 2nd doesn't work for you, you can choose a private cleanse and choose your own dates. It's this very same structure. You just choose your own dates, and then you have me one-on-one for support throughout the cleanse. And I'll put that link in the show notes, or you can just visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. For the September 2nd discounted group cleanse, go to the events tab, and for the private cleanse, you'll find that under programs. And if you have questions that you want to ask me, this is for you, please book a free 15-minute services inquiry call. Again, we can hop into Zoom and I can answer any questions or concerns that you may have. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this information on headaches and migraines was helpful. As you can see, it's really important to determine the doshic imbalance, but a great way to prevent it is just to do a cleanse and then eliminate toxins, eliminate any dosha accumulation, and you won't have to deal with them. So that's the best solution of all. Thank you again for tuning in. And if you think that this episode will be helpful to family or friends, please share it with them so we can get this information out there on headaches and migraines. And if you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so. And if you would like to rate and review the podcast, I would really appreciate it wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can find me on social media under Elements Healing and Wellbeing on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, please take good care of yourself and bye for now. Slán go fóill.